Okay, joining us now, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Republican Congressman Mike Rogers of Michigan. First of all, we apologize for our friend Brian Sullivan. He's being sedated, offset now, but obviously...
Boy, it was cranky this morning.
It could be the chair, so be careful.
Could be the chair. So obviously, we've been talking about Benghazi. If you were going to kind of score it right now as far as how the Republicans have been handling it to date?
Well, first of all, all the committees have been doing their investigation. So I've been conducting an investigation on the intelligence portion, and I think what frustrated people is I did the intelligence investigation, somebody else did the Armed Services investigation, somebody did the State Department investigation. I think what sent the Speaker over the top was two things. So to date, one of the big things we've found is there has been no accountability and no justice, right? That we know where those folks are, no plan to go get them. And people who were involved in the security decisions around the temporary mission facility, some of them have been promoted. And there's evidence that that clearly is not the right decision, and it's a little bit offensive there. And so I think when the Speaker found out, hey, you know what, you told us you gave us everything, and you didn't, and it certainly implies that there was something more going on. I think he said, that's it. I'm going to have all of these committees, all of their work, and I'm in the process now of batching up all my work and handing it over to the Special Select Committee.
Can you explain to Donnie, for me, why it matters
Slowly,
so
and
much?
Don't use big words.
No, I'm serious. I'm going to be serious.
Good news is I don't know any big words.
Susan Rice went on 5 Sunday shows. You do a lot of Sunday shows. You know that every word matters. She was instructed, as far as the talking points go, we now know by the White House. As a result of what she said, she was denied an opportunity to serve as this country's Secretary of State. I think it matters very much who told her what to say, but Donnie doesn't see it that way. Can you explain why it matters, where the talking points came from, and how they were produced?
Before you even answer, it does matter. It doesn't matter to voters, and that's what I'm saying.
But you don't just do what polls
Can I disagree with that? I think there are a lot of people who this really matters. And let me tell you why. When you have 4 dead Americans, the first ambassador killed since the 70s, this is serious business. And what we don't want to do, and I believe in expeditionary diplomacy, meaning you got to go to hard places and dangerous places, I believe we should be there, then we want to make sure that we get it right and we don't abandon the very folks that we've asked to go there. There were decisions made clearly through my investigation and others where they decided, even though the security threat was as bad as it was, that they weren't going to help provide more security. And let me give you one. This was a very powerful statement in the investigation. One of the the CIA's agency security officers went to this compound. And by the way, they weren't responsible for securing this compound. They just did it out of the kindness. These guys are great patriots. In the middle of a huge fight, they jumped in their vehicles and went down to save these people. But a week before, they went down to this facility and looked around at their security posture and said, hey, man, if you don't change your posture here, you're going to die here. Right? That is a powerful thing. And what his response he received was, we've been asking and asking, and they didn't get it. The reason this is a problem, if we whitewash this thing today, we have other places around the world that are very, very dangerous. And my fear is that if you don't hold somebody accountable, somebody else is going to die. Shame on us if we let that happen.
You're chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
Yes, sir.
Was there anything in the intel that you saw that would lead you to believe that they knew of that coming attack, that they knew the attack was about to take place? And B, was there anything in the intelligence that you saw that would lead you to believe that there was a deliberate or conscious effort not to defend once under attack?
Well, I can't speak to the Armed Services part, but I went back and reviewed some 4,000 classified cables as a part of our investigation from the agency leading up to that event. And it was very clear that the security situation was deteriorating rapidly. Including, by the way, in August, when they wanted to merge the facilities where the CIA officers were and the temporary mission facility, they went down and said, this place is not defendable, we're not going to do it. That's a, and I'm an old FBI guy, we would call that a clue that there is real problems brewing. And here's the other part. They knew that there was going to be more aggressive activity. Did they know it was going to happen on that day, at that time? I don't believe there was information.
Did the consulate know of the location and the existence of the CIA safe house?
Was the individuals at the... Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because the agency security officers coordinated with these folks. And by the way, this was not by protocol. Everyone thinks that their job was to protect the evidence. It was not. They did it because they believed they didn't want to leave their Americans die on the battlefield. That's why they did it. That's why those guys are heroes. I know they got they got some grief early on, and I have to tell you, if you look back, these guys are heroes. They jumped in those vehicles when they got a call for help on the team. They had no idea if it was 5 people attacking or 200, and they drove down there.
Since we just have a few moments left, we're not going to solve Benghazi. You're about to embark on a new career as a radio host and commentator. What makes a good radio host?
Well, we're going to find out, I think, next year. But, you know, this is one of those things that when somebody approached me, I mean, I love what I'm doing in the Intelligence Committee. I think it's important work. We've forged a bipartisan working relationship, which just doesn't happen in Congress, I think, too often enough on something as serious as national security. We've changed, I think, fundamentally the committee. Dutch Ruppersberger and I work very, very well together. I know this is you're not allowed to say this, but we've developed a friendship over the last 4 years.
Whoa.
I know, shocking, shocking. But he's a great American, a great patriot. So I think we've forged a good relationship. We disagree, by the way. We fight like cats and dogs behind the committee. I mean, somebody thinks that we're holding, hand in hand and skipping into the spaces. That just doesn't happen. But we work through our differences. Very powerful. And somebody came and said, you know, we don't need another radio talk show host out there. We got plenty of really good ones. Would you like to, we would like to take your experience and put it on the radio. I thought that was interesting and compelling, and it allows me to talk to a lot more people every day on things that I think are important. So we'll see if it makes a good radio talk show host. I think there's an audience for it. I think people will listen to it. I'm going to have people I disagree with on the radio. I'm going to have people that my listeners are going to disagree with on the radio. I just think that at the end of the day, there's room in what is, by the way, a growing industry. People think radio is dying. It's not.
We will be listening. Congressman Mike Rogers, really appreciate it.